spend a lot of time being full. I'm hungry. I'm trying to get money now, you know. I'm trying to feed the fam. I'm trying to...
Eric Tyrone Breed, aka MC Breed, born June 12, 1971, died November 22, 2008. Rest in peace, MC Breed. Today's feature is the story of a rapper that means a lot to his Flint, Michigan hometown's history and to the Midwest hip-hop scene, seeing as he was the first commercially successful artist from the Midwest to gain national attention, and from there, it opened the doors for many acts to follow, like D12, Eminem, Nelly, and more, that were allowed to be seen as viable talent when the East and West Coasts were dominating the rap spotlight. Some even credit Breed for being the vehicle that drove Tupac Shakur to getting his first national look. Besides being the pioneer for Midwest rap music, MC Breed also laid the blueprint for how to get on as a rapper for anyone to follow, outwork everyone else, and make as many friends in the industry as possible. As a Gemini, this may have came naturally to Breed as he quickly developed relationships with other rap artists from East to West Coast and even down south, having spent a lot of time in Atlanta. His charisma led to numerous works with future hip-hop legends like Tupac, Too Short, the DOC, and even up-and-coming producer Jazzy Faye collaborated with the gangsta rap MC, most appreciating the time they got to spend around Breed, more than even making music. In a phone interview a year before he died, he was asked what was his secret to success, especially seeing as he had no example before him laid out as a guide into the industry, and he gave a simple but life-lasting answer: be totally different than anyone else. He said his music just went from friend to friend, and eventually everything began to unfold. His friendly nature had paid off, and he found himself in a unique position of opportunity and a lot of connections within the industry, only missing the right timing and the right record that could give the Flint MC the recognition he deserved. In 1991, he shot to star status with his single Ain't No Future in Your Frontin' off his collaboration album with DFC, a group consisting of he, his cousin Al, and friend T-Dub. The MC Breed and DFC album would chart 146 on Billboard's Top 200. The following year, his debut solo album 20 Below released that peaked at 155. Another year, another album rolled around, 93's The New Breed, featuring the hit song Gotta Get Mine, featuring a 22-year-old Tupac Shakur, to whom Breed was just days older than, both being friendly Geminis with insane work ethic but addictive personalities, great for the focus and consistency it takes to blow up in music, but not so good for bad habits Breed would develop over the years that ended up taking his life. What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to Chase iPhone for this request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music. Just get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. MC Breed was a rapper from Flint, Michigan that always had an air for music, particularly hip-hop and gangsta rap. He jumped off the porch early and into the streets. Then, in the mid to late 80s, while Breed was around 15 years old, he secured a record deal with local label SDEG and began working on his solo debut, as well as the MC Breed and the DFC album. The Flint hip-hop scene began to see more and more talented artists spitting what they like to call reality rap or gangsta rap, who didn't have a lane in hip-hop as yet or a strong voice to lead them into the rap industry, until MC Breed and groups like DFC and Top Authority. When Ain't No Future in Your Frontin' dropped in 91, Breed was just 20 years old, but a veteran in the streets and right on the cusp of mainstream. He gained much notoriety from the song, and it allowed him to acquire more resources within the industry, mainly other artists. While visiting LA, he met Tupac in a tattoo parlor, getting the iconic Thug Life tattoo. The two immediately hit it off and went straight to the studio to make music. He had the pedigree, street cred, work ethic, and connections to blow up nationally as an artist, but for these reasons, he never really crossed over mainstream. Stunt number 1, not mainstream. What made MC Breed special was once again, he just had a personality that was infectious and people flocked to his presence, and he reciprocated the love, opening his door to anyone that shared his passion for hip-hop or the streets. In those streets, people that knew him recall him being in 24/7 and wasn't afraid to take the show on the road, moving between LA, Atlanta, and Flint. He had a manager named Rodney G who was connected to Suge Knight, DOC, and Dr. Dre, who informed him he was working on an opportunity for him to come to LA and meet those guys, but Breed only believed it when the manager came through and they actually got to watch The Chronic being made right in front of them. Breed and the DOC would connect and become best friends, and DOC, while working on The Chronic, would work on Breed's third album, The New Breed, as well, which is why he says it sounds so heavily West Coast influenced in production and his flows. The album released April 1993 and peaked at 17 on the rap charts, but 156 on the Billboard 200, even with DOC, Tupac, Dre, and more heavily included on the album. He'd never have an album peak inside the top 100, mainly because while he was respected as a gangster rapper, he didn't have a sound or lyrics that were mainstream. He'd say things like, "If I had a choice, I'd paint the White House black," and other slick ways to showcase his skill, but also his rawness and unfiltered approach. He was gangster rap, but he wasn't doing gangster rap on the level of a lot of his peers like Tupac Shakur most famously, who he collaborated with and went gold with on Gotta Get Mine. Tupac had the look, talent in multiple fields, and the ability to know how to be a chameleon and change to fit in any room. Not to mention, he was a super dope rapper who his peers admired. Breed had the work ethic and ability to make friends, but mainstream charisma on camera and with label heads, he didn't have that mainstream appeal, and that's actually what most underground fans like about his music. Stunt number 2, poor label situations. Another aspect Breed wasn't the most well versed on was understanding the business of hip-hop and the times they were in, where labels had all the power, and in order for a rapper to be put on and promoted, they had to go through them. So back then, many labels, local and mainstream, took advantage of the artists by signing them to deals difficult to get out. Breed was one of those artists. Not sure if his deals were 360, but as he recalls, he was getting screwed over when it came to his publishing and royalties based on bad contracts he signed, and it continued until the height of his popularity was already coming to an end. Running out of money and label support, Breed turned to the streets to help with the stress of what was going on in the industry and developed what has been described as a drug habit, but nothing further. Coming up in the 80s and 90s, crack cocaine was the it drug that didn't have the stigma it does now, so who knows if between that and alcohol were the ones that hooked Breed as a result of continuous stress because of his label situations. He'd continue dropping albums mostly on local or underground labels with messed up multiple album contracts that he wasn't properly paid for nor promoted like he should have been. Stunt number 3, adjusting to the times. MC Breed found himself inching closer to the new millennium where hip-hop was set to change forever. His 1999 album It's All Good was his final album to chart, and on schedule with the 2000s, the sound of hip-hop changed to cater to the radios more, even though there was still gangsta rap music, but in a hit-making format. Examples Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Nas, Ja Rule, and artists like such who understood how to adjust to the times and play radio and street just as well. Breed hated the new era and felt the music was whack, and stations only cared to play what got them paid. His final album released in 2004, and later he became ill due to his kidneys failing because of the stress and drug and alcohol abuse, actually passing out while playing basketball and had to spend days on life support. He was working on a new album set to release the same year in 2008, but sadly died in his sleep at a friend's house in Michigan. All in all, MC Breed will always be respected in hip-hop, mainly underground, but the mainstream artists that knew him understood his importance to Midwest hip-hop and the rap game in general. Not every rapper is supposed to be mainstream, and for these reasons, MC Breed was one of those rappers. Salute, much respect, rest in peace once again. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.